Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already and drop a like on this video. I am trying to hit 100k subscribers on the channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. Also drop a like on this video, it only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference. So while I did watch the last 5 minutes of Pistons versus Heat, I have absolutely no take from those last 5 minutes. The Heat made a decent comeback by the time I'd even gotten into it, so not worth talking about really. So I'm just going to jump right into the Lakers versus Knicks game, and then later today I'll be giving a reaction to the other games. This was a very interesting game that looked like it was going to be a blowout, but then Russell Westbrook happened, and especially in the second quarter, the Lakers made a bit of a run, and then it was really the third quarter where they blew this game wide open as the Lakers beat the Knicks by 10 points for that third quarter and were relatively close in the score. And then we get to the fourth quarter and Russell Westbrook's not quite as electric, and nobody can make a damn three-pointer, and as a result they end up losing this game. Now, I already know what the title of this video is. It's not Russell Westbrook's fault. While he did take a three late that was like, hey, dude, don't do that. At the end of the day, he was the reason they were in this position in the first place, so I can't really get mad at him at that point because, and this can be said for the Lakers, for the past few games, especially the games without LeBron, Russell Westbrook has just been better lately, and I'm not acting like the guy's without his flaws, because he absolutely is. When I initially started YouTube, my whole thing was just constantly shitting on his flaws, and then now a bunch of people still hate me for some shit I said when I was 17. But the point, I understand the flaws that come with Russell Westbrook. However, he's really not been what's to blame for why the Lakers have struggled and why they lost this game and why they've lost some other games as of recent. And I've said before that like there's an aesthetic bias in basketball, and that also goes in terms of like how much we're blaming things, or also just things being obvious. Like the way that Russell Westbrook does things wrong is so blatant, like bad jump shots, bad turnovers, falling asleep at the wheel on defense. That type of stuff sticks out like a sore thumb. It's not something that's subtle in the slightest bit. The Lakers constantly leaving the back door open for Obi Toppin on like 3 different possessions that resulted in dunks. That's a little less blatant. Obviously, when the dunk happens, that's obvious, but the poor rotations that are made are not as obvious. And I said this on Twitter earlier. I feel like the Lakers' offense is so visibly gross. It's so obviously bad and uncomfortably bad, and like this is just not how things are supposed to be done. It's so much in that it distracts from the fact that the Lakers defense is also fucking awful. And can I say, I might be harping on this point a little bit too much because I'm dropping a video on Anthony Davis tomorrow on the main channel, but where do we start to blame AD a little bit for the fact that this defense is not as good as it was? Now, caveat before anyone jumps on me, no LeBron for most of the year, and he's been really good defensively since AD joined the team after taking a break from playing defense for like 2 years. And the defensive personnel on this team overall, not phenomenal. However, you could kind of say the same thing about the Lakers of the past, who were top 5 defenses and one of the best defenses in the league when they won a championship, and that was because the defense was anchored by Anthony Davis. That's one of the main credits of the talent of Anthony Davis, is he's one of those guys where if you have him, you're going to be a good defensive team. Like, it doesn't even matter if the personnel around you sucks. You're going to be a good defensive team if AD is your main guy in the back court or the front court. I always forget which one it is. It doesn't fucking matter. But the guy protecting the paint around the basket, all that kind of stuff, able to switch on the perimeter, not quite as electric. I'm not saying he's been bad, but the impact is obviously not there. There's stuff to blame, and again, bringing this to Russell Westbrook, he's not a good defender, and by comparison to last year or the years previous, the guards they would have in his place would definitely be a little bit better. But I digress. I think at a certain point, we maybe point the finger at Anthony Davis in that regard. Offensively in this game, Russell Westbrook was fantastic. Of course, he came with a couple of bad turnovers, but that's kind of the trade-off that you get. But he shot really efficiently. He shot 3 for 6 from outside, got to the free throw line a ton. In that third quarter, he had 18 points, multiple drives, a couple of pull-up threes, really nice passes, one that was a full-court pass to Carmelo Anthony to tie the game. Meanwhile, Anthony Davis, 7 for 17, and a lot of mid-range jump shots. This is my gripe with Anthony Davis, is he just settles too much for my liking. Avery Bradley, he ended up having a good game here, but I don't know that I like how much he plays and how big of a part of the rotation is, because overall his jump shots, and his defense is overrated at this point in his career. Another guy, Talen Horton-Tucker, 0 for 8, 0 for 2 from outside. This is going to piss people off, and I'm saying this as someone who likes Talen Horton-Tucker. He has no place on this team, and the fact that he's starting is a problem. Talen Horton-Tucker, unless his 3-ball is just way better than it was last year, because I believe he shot not awful to open the year. Let me actually check his stats for the season, because he's only played a few games. He's shooting 35% from 3 on 4.5. If he is that level of shooter or better continuously, then never mind. But if he is the bad 3-point shooter that he has been to this point in his career, him playing doesn't make any fucking sense. And he in this game was just awful. And what I noticed with the Lakers offense is it really was, especially when they were down early, a lot of instances of where there's 5 players on the floor, but it feels like it's just up to the one player who has the ball. Like, there's no movement, there's no system, there's no setting people up whatsoever. There was a mid-range jumper that Talen Horton-Tucker took that sounds like Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. He took a mid-range jump shot that was like everybody was just standing there. Then the next possession, AD took a face-up shot with the shot clock expiring, everyone just standing there. And it was like, this offense has nothing going for it. Another finger to point. I'm all over the place in this video. The coaching. If the Lakers are not going to be a top defense, then Frank Vogel is useless. Frank Vogel is a defensive coach. That's what his reputation is, and it's a reputation he has earned. He has historically coached really, really good defensive teams. He's also had really, really good defensive personnel, but overall the formula suggests Frank Vogel, hey, really good defensive coach. This year, defense is 20th in the league, which is extremely disappointing for what this team is capable of with AD at the forefront, and then their offense is bad because Frank Vogel has never been an offensive coach. He's never been a creative offensive coach. I wouldn't say he's an absolute zero in that department, but it's not one of his strengths. And if you have a rough offense, you can't even bring the defense to the table. At that point, what's the point of Frank Vogel? Especially when you have piss poor rotation decisions with DeAndre Jordan starting as much as he did. He played 24 minutes in this game. It's not even the typical he's starting but he only plays 12 minutes thing. He played a lot in this fucking game. Malik Monk was great in this one. Or I actually, no, he wasn't. Never mind. Forget I said that. I don't know why I said that, because he wasn't great. And I looked at his box score, and it's even worse than I thought. Carmelo Anthony is the one I was thinking of. He was not great. He was very opposite of great. He missed a lot of jump shots, and there were a couple of possessions that were just, and this is my gripe with Carmelo Anthony, where he is right now in his career. And it's like, literally, if you just eliminated this one thing, there is no problem with Carmelo Anthony that isn't just like sometimes his defense isn't great. But it's these throwaway possessions where it's like, okay, we're posting up Melo now. And it's like, why? If the shot clock is expiring and you don't really have anything going for you and you want to throw it to Melo in the post, at that point, go for it. But plays, there were 2 or 3 of them in this game, plays that are specifically drawn up for Carmelo Anthony to post up, it's just not going to result in a good shot most of the time. His efficiency on that shot, even when he was in his peak, that's not the most efficient shot in the world, but you know, he's a superstar, so whatever. But he's not that guy right now. That shot, it goes in a respectable enough rate, but it's like, why are we throwing away possessions for this? It would maybe seem even worse if the Lakers had other feasible sources of offense, but other than an AD Russ pick and roll, they don't really seem to have shit. So I don't even know if I could really get too mad at that. But he was missing his shots today. Multiple shovel passes from Russell Westbrook that should have been shots, just did not drop. And actually, Russell Westbrook finished with 10 assists in this game. He could have easily finished with 20. He had so many plays where he set up his teammate, and then his teammate just whiffed it. AD, he had a full court pass to AD, and then AD just missed the layup. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to be... I'm kind of just looking at everything here, and this video has been very discombobulated. As for the Knicks, they had a good game. Julius Randle decided to have a good shooting game. He's been a little iffy with that. I guess it wasn't that great. It was really good in the first half. That's why I said that. Evan Fournier was really, really good. The Lakers could not keep him off the three-point line. He was fantastic. Their bench was really good. Obi Toppin, as I mentioned, had a couple of backdoor plays, had a catch-and-shoot mid-range jump shot, which you just don't see anymore. And the standout, of course, is Emmanuel Quickley. You hit a bunch of big three-pointers in the fourth quarter. What's cool about Emmanuel Quickley is just the way that he dribbles kind of always inherently creates space. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's just like that. He can kind of just pull up whenever because he just dribbles in a way, and his shot is in a way that's like you'll get a clean enough look like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The Lakers are a mess, and I understand that it's easy to blame that mess on Russell Westbrook to some extent because he has a lot of sloppy stuff to his game. But at the end of the day, Russell Westbrook was great in this game. The Lakers still lost because AD didn't really bring it. The role players were missing their shots, especially in the fourth quarter. The defense is just abysmal, and it's part of that is to blame on Russell Westbrook, but not exclusively. And the fact that the defense is this bad, what's the point of Frank Vogel, and how much is AD really going to be valued if they're going to continue to be this poor on defense? Right now, it's not Russell Westbrook's fault. That is the point. Lakers got a lot of shit to figure out. I continue to say this thing where I'm like, I think the Lakers will be fine, but it'd be nice if we actually started to see the signs of them being fine. The only sign we've seen is Russell Westbrook now no longer is bad. He was initially bad, and now he's not bad. But other than that, we continue to see the Lakers just either have new problems or not fix the old ones. So yeah, that's the Lakers situation right now. The Knicks played a good game, and goodbye.